Your blood test is back. You're looking at a page full of numbers, abbreviations, strange little arrows pointing up and down. You have absolutely no idea what any of it means. Your doctor tells you everything looks fine. But what exactly does that mean? What are those numbers measuring? And how do you know which ones really matter? In this video, I'm going to walk you through your blood work from top to bottom. You do not require any medical degrees. By the end of the video, you will understand how to read your blood test and what questions to ask your doctor. Hi and welcome to OptiLabs, where we decode your lab results and reveal the deeper story behind the numbers. I am Dr. Austin Odigie. Let's start at the very beginning. A blood test is just like a snapshot. It tells what is happening in your body at that moment in time. When you get a blood draw, the lab analyzes your sample and can actually measure hundreds of markers at the same time. But a doctor don't order all of them all at once. Instead, they order panels. Think of a panel as a music playlist someone curated based on what they want to check. In the same way, doctors order panels depending on what system or systems they want to check at that particular time. The most common panels you will see are complete blood count, CBC. This test measures your red blood cells, your white blood cells, and platelets. It tells if you have anemia, infection, or clotting issues. We have the comprehensive metabolic panel. This test checks your kidneys, liver, electrolytes, and proteins. These tests help us to see how your organs are doing. We have the lipid panel, which checks cholesterol and triglycerides, which are directly related to heart disease risk. We have the thyroid panel, which tells us how your thyroid is doing. Your thyroid controls metabolism, energy, and mood. Sometimes your doctors may add individual tests like HbA1c for blood glucose check, ferritin, iron storage, vitamin D for immune and bone health. But here is what most people don't really understand. The results you get back are divided into columns. Your result, the reference range, and sometimes a flag if you fall outside the reference range. The reference range is the most important thing to understand when it comes to reading your lab results. Usually the reference range looks like two numbers separated by a dash. For instance, 70 to 100. So that is saying for that particular test, anything between those two numbers is considered normal. But where do reference ranges come from? It is calculated by taking the average of a large group of supposedly healthy people, taking their blood sample and measuring the middle 95%. That means that 5% of healthy people will always fall outside of the range at any given time. Let me break it down further. If your doctor orders 20 tests, one will be flagged not normal or outside the range, not because anything is wrong, but simply because that is how the math works. It also means that normal range is not optimal range. We will look deeper into that in a separate video. But for now, just understand that normal is not the same thing as healthy. Let's look at the most common blood test. We will start with the CBC. As discussed earlier, complete blood count measures the red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. So let's start with the red blood cells. In the red blood cells carry oxygen throughout the body, and in this area we have several numbers to look at. We have RBC, red blood cell count. This tells us the actual number of red blood cells available. We have hemoglobin, the protein inside the red blood cells that actually carries the oxygen. We have hematocrit. Hematocrit is a percentage of blood made up of red blood cells. We have MCV. MCV tells us the size variations of the red blood cells. Usually this helps to tell us the kind of anemia if anemia is present. Low hemoglobin might indicate anemia, and you have symptoms like cold hands, brain fog, fatigue, shortness of breath. If it is high, it might indicate dehydration, or in some rare cases, a blood disorder called polycythemia. The white blood cells, on the other hand, tells us about the immune activity. If the white blood cells are high, it means the body is fighting an infection. If it is extremely high, it might signal inflammation or a blood disorder. If your WBC is low, that might indicate suppressed immune system. The differential, which breaks white blood cell count into neutrophils, basophils, lymphocytes, and so on, help us to understand the kind of immune response that is happening at every particular time. Finally, platelet tells us about clotting issue. Low platelet increases the risk of bleeding and bruising, whereas high platelet increases the risk of clotting. Next is the comprehensive metabolic panel. This test focuses on how your organs are functioning. So we start with the kidneys. Creatine and blood urine nitrogen are waste products the kidney filters out. If levels of these are high, it means your kidney is not functioning efficiently. Another marker here is the eGFR, estimated glomerular filtration rate. If it's above 90, it is considered ideal, but below 60 for 3 months is a red flag. Next is the liver. ALT and AST are liver enzymes. Usually when the liver is inflamed or damaged, these enzymes leak into the bloodstream. So elevated levels of these enzymes in the blood might indicate fatty liver, alcohol damage, or medication effect. We also have ALP and GGT. These are also liver enzymes, but slightly different meaning. Bilirubin is what the liver produces when it breaks down red blood cells. Then we have electrolytes and glucose. Sodium, potassium, chloride, bicarbonate help to maintain fluid balance and nerve function. They are usually stable. Glucose in a fasting state tells you your blood sugar level right now. Above 100 is considered to be entering prediabetes. And then finally, proteins. Total protein and albumin tells us about nutrition status and kidney and liver functions. Particularly, low albumin tells us about chronic nutrition or illness. And finally, the lipid and thyroid panel. The lipid panel measures total cholesterol, triglyceride, LDL, HDL. A lot of people are fixated on total cholesterol, but in reality, that is the least important number on this panel. LDL talks about cholesterol deposited in the artery walls. HDL removes cholesterol and takes it back to the liver. Triglycerides are total fat particles in your blood. This is greatly influenced by diet and insulin resistance. Triglyceride to HDL ratio is a better marker of cardiovascular risk. Ideally, it should be below 2. Above 3 gets concerning. For the thyroid, the TSH is the most common test. It is a signal the brain sends to the thyroid to make thyroid hormones. If TSH is high, it means the thyroid is underactive, working hard to respond to the signal. If it is low, it means the thyroid is overactive. T3 and T4 are the actual thyroid hormones, but usually TSH is ordered because it covers most thyroid issues. Here is what I want you to take away from this video. Your blood test is data, and you have every right to understand them. So if your doctor tells you everything is fine, and you still feel terrible, you are allowed to ask questions. You are allowed to ask, can you walk me through what these numbers are saying together? What trends are you seeing? Is anything borderline? Write down your questions before the appointment. Ask for copies of your result. Track them over time, because trend matters more than a single snapshot. If you still don't understand, ask again. No good doctor will be bothered by a patient wanting to understand their own health. In the next video, I'm going to talk about one of the most frustrating experiences in medicine. Your lab result says normal, but you still feel sick. Why does it happen, and what can you do about it? Subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss that video. If this video helped you, share it with someone who just received their blood work and have no idea what it's saying. If you have any questions, Drop it in the comments. I read them all.